Hey guys, Chris from 4K Motoring here. Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do a maintenance video on my 2015 Ducati Multistrada. Getting ready to do a little bit of a trip. Rear tire's kind of worn out and I've got a spare here, so we're going to go ahead and take that tire off. We'll show you how to do that on the single-sided swing arm that Ducati has, and we'll go ahead and swap it out. Alright, as you can see from this tire here, new replacement tire, you can see the tread it has, especially in the center, how deep those grooves are. You know, from around to where there's a little bit of light so you can see it. See the profile and the grooves. See a date code on it from early 2020, so it's about a year-old tire. And then I'll show you the worn out one here. Kind of hard to see with everything going on here, but you can see clearly it's kind of flat spotted in the middle and just about no tread left. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do before we get started on this job is take this saddlebag off here, just so we have a little bit more room to get to it. For those of you that don't know, for the Multistrada and most of the new high-end bikes, there is really no frame for the saddlebags. Once you put the key in, instead of pulling up the latch you would to open it, you're going to pull up the next one behind that, big handle, slide it back, and lift up. With that, you can see how much more room we have just to access this whole area. What's going to need to happen here, I'll bring you guys down here to look at it. So what we're going to need to do is take this muffler off just so we can get the tire out, and then it's just a single pretty decent size nut on there. We'll go ahead and pull that off and the tire should come right out and be super easy. Alright, first we have to take this black cover off this muffler in order to get to the clamps behind it. To do so, there are 3 bolts here. They're 3mm hex. You got one right there, one's right around the back side here on top, and one more is right on the bottom. So we'll take those 3 out, this black cover will slide off, and we'll be able to loosen the clamp to take this muffler off. Alright, there's that. Go ahead and set these aside here. There is one washer that goes on the inside of this centerpiece that can be kind of a pain to keep track of, especially when you're putting it all back together. So just make sure you don't lose that. And I'll set that aside. Okay, for the muffler itself, really the only thing we have to do is loosen this one clamp right here. Okay, right on the back side here is, let's see what size that is. So it looks like it's going to be a 6mm hex. Double check. Yep, so 6mm fits. We're going to go ahead and pull this off, loosen it. Alright, once it's pretty loose, this muffler kind of rock back and forth. Good. Little by little here, pinch it out, there we go. And this is the muffler, okay? So you single in, dual out. Doesn't really do a whole lot for the bike. Slight frequency change with the muffler off. Most of the sound deadening we have coming from the catalytic converter under here. Been wanting to replace that for a while, go with the aftermarket exhaust But as you guys know, with these Ducatis and similar bikes, it's quite expensive, about $3,000 to get a little bit of titanium pipe to come and replace all this stuff. So for now it stays, and now we have access to the whole wheel to get it off. All the chain drive, the brake, all that stuff, you don't have to mess with any of it. All we're going to do is be taking this big gun off right here. Alright, you guys, in a little bit closer here to take a look at what we're doing. First thing we have to do is pull this little safety wire out of here. Pretty easy to do. It'll just unlatch. Use a screwdriver or a pick for that. It just comes off this ring and lifts out of one of the holes there for it. That's all that is, just to keep that not from spinning when you don't want it to, as in when you're riding. So we'll go ahead and set that aside, make sure we don't lose it or damage it. And next, this is going to be a 55mm socket, kind of unique to Ducati here. Alright, there we go, that's just about off. Finish spinning it off by hand here. Okay, on it. Pull that off. We've got a little washer that's on the inside. We'll go ahead and set that next to it now that we got grease all over our fingers here. Tire comes off. Just so we don't lose these parts, we're going to set them back on the way they came out. And just like that. Now that we got this tire off, the whole wheel off anyway, we'll go ahead and pull it out. You can see, again, the profile of it here. Very flat in the center. A lot of highway miles, as these bikes do. Not a whole lot left right in that center line. Still some okay tread on the outside, but compared to the new tire, definitely can do for some change here. So we'll go ahead and load this up. We'll take it over to my friend Jeb's shop over Tapped Out Cycles here in Raleigh. We'll see if they can throw a new one on and get this back on in a matter of time. While we have it off here, we'll probably go ahead and adjust the chain as well. It does require taking the tire off to do that. So since we have that done, we might as well take a look at that before we put it back on. So. Hey guys, here at Tapped Out Cycles, we made it over with the wheel, just dropped it off. Jeb's inside, they're working on it. Got a little bit of a delay, which I didn't call ahead or anything, I just showed up. Shop's pretty cool. Definitely recommend you guys checking it out. Alright guys, we've made it back home. We have the tire in our car. Alright, here it is. Newly mounted tire. Clearly much better tread than before. We'll go ahead and set this over here to be installed. Okay guys, so next we're going to do the chain adjustment for the Multistrada here. This is a single-sided swing arm, so the technique is a little bit different than the majority of typical Japanese or conventional motorcycles. I'll go ahead and show you the tools required. What you're going to need to start, just to take this rear shield off, you're going to need a 5mm Allen wrench. There's 2 bolts on the top and 1 on the bottom to take this piece off. Once that's off, you'll be able to get to, I'm going to show you under here, get to the 2 pinch bolts that are under here. Those are 10mm hex wrenches, and those will allow you to actually release the cam mechanism inside the hub to tighten the chain. Okay, so that is the rear tire hugger there. Got our 3 bolts for that. We're going to keep separated. And now we can get a good look at both of the pinch bolts that are sitting here. Okay, like I said, they're going to be a 10mm. They're usually a little bit tight here. We'll make sure we're going the right way, and we're just going to loosen them up. There we go. Don't have to take them out, just have to make them loose so this cam mechanism inside can slide. Okay, next we're going to use a adjustable spanner here. There's a lock ring right inside here. Got the grooves cut in it, if you can see that. We're going to reach around underneath it and yank that back. We'll kind of watch what happens to the chain. The chain has its little diagram there for how tight it should be. Got a little extra slack, not terrible, but we will tighten that up since we have it off. Okay, as you guys can see now, chain doesn't have nearly as much slack as it did before. Still has the correct adjustment range, 38 to 40 millimeters it says. So we're about there. So we can go ahead and tighten these pinch bolts up and kind of reverse the procedure we did to tighten them. Alright, the torque for these two, from what I found on the internet, is 35 Newton meters. So I'm going to go ahead and set my torque wrench to that here. Get that just snug. We'll snug down the other one so that at least kind of even. Still hand loose for the most part. Okay, now we're tight on that side. Alright, 35 Newton meters for both. And that part is done. We'll go ahead and replace the tire hugger here. So we'll go ahead and stick this back on. Start the first one in, kind of hand tighten it. And with that, we are done on this side. We'll go ahead and stick that wheel on, and it should be ready to go. Alright, here's the wheel. We've cleaned with a ceramic cleaner. We'll go ahead and clean up our hub here. So the rear axle torque, as we found, is listed at 230 Newton meters, which is quite a lot. My torque wrench only goes up to about 200 Newton meters. So we'll have to go with that and then tighten it down even a little bit more. We'll start a little bit less than that, we'll tighten it up. Pretty easy process. Again, only the single axle nut coming off here. Okay, next we're going to just put this muffler back on, and then I think we're done. Just for kicks and giggles, we'll go ahead and start it up without the muffler on there, just so you can hear how little of a difference it really makes. I know the slip-on mufflers, Remus and a couple other companies have them for $500 or $600. You'll see it's really not worth the money unless you like just the look of it, because it really doesn't change the sound much at all. Put it in neutral. Alright, that was that. We'll go ahead and put this on real quick. You can see kind of a direct comparison. Alright, that is on. We'll go ahead and just tighten it down real quick. And then we'll start that back up, just so you can have a repeat. So this is a 6mm. Okay, we'll go ahead and start it up one more time. Alright, well that's basically the sound difference. Like I said, $500 or $600 doesn't seem worth it to me, but you guys can make your own decision there. We'll go ahead and we'll put this last trim piece on, and then we are done. Okay, remember this middle one here has a little washer that goes on it. So we'll go ahead and try and get that one in first. Washer goes behind, and bolt goes in, so we'll try and keep them together here. Now we'll just go ahead and set this saddlebag back on, same way it came off. Line up this bottom piece with this rubber. These two parts go in, those feet forward, handle goes down, and with that, we are done. New tire installed. Chain tightened, was recently cleaned. With that, we are done. Hope you found this informative. Hope you enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave some comments here, and we'll see you on the next one.